I guarantee this 51-minute training will at least double your close rate. And the reason why I am so confident on this is because, well, it worked for me, it worked for Victoria Havrance and Samuel Yazinski and Tony Skinner. So if there was ever a time to pay attention, it would be to this video. The sales advice that I'm about to share with you is a bit unconventional, and you won't find it anywhere else on YouTube, and I mean it. And I think the main topic I want to cover within a one call close are pre-call best practices, because that's probably the number one thing that salespeople, even myself, forget about, that there is best practices that we could have before somebody gets on a sales call with us that will increase our close rate. Or as a setter, right, it'll increase your show rate and give better leads to closers. Therefore, they'll close more deals and you'll make more money. Right. So I'm going to cover that today. And if you guys have questions throughout, let me know. But reason why I cover this, right? Let's go over two things. Who's setting currently in the group? I think everyone's closing. Druv, you're setting. I know you've been setting for a couple days, bro. What do you hate most as a setter when you set a lead and then what happens?
And then they don't show up, or they have some reason they're not qualified or not actually interested in the product.
100%. It was the same thing for me too, right? It's like you spend a whole 20-minute conversation with somebody and then, they sound good. They agree to get set. They say they got the email and then they don't show up to the damn call in the first place, right? And you feel like you wasted a bunch of time. And then for closers too, I know this, I hated this, right? I'm sure you guys hate the show rate thing too, but you get an hour in your day, so you probably don't beat yourself up too much. What do you guys hate when a guy shows up to a call and you're like 5 to 10 minutes in and then you realize it's a couple things you could realize. Not qualified, not focused. Okay. I know for me, it was when low intent. That's exactly what it is, right? When I get somebody who jumps on the damn call and they look at me as this hour that we're about to spend together as a source of, hey, I'm going to use Sam to educate myself on this thing, rather than I'm going to use Sam to figure out if I'm a good fit to purchase this product. AKA, I have low intent, right? I'm just kind of curious about what you have going on. Let me waste an hour of your time and figure out these questions and what you guys do. Then I'm going to jump off. Right. And so like the whole concept of having pre-call best practices is to, number one, as a setter, right, to increase your show rate, and also get hot leads to show up to your closer's calendar, people with intent. And then as a closer, it's to get rid of education calls, right? You want to use your pre-call time slot, which really isn't much time that you'll spend every day, as a way to educate prospects on whatever they need, whatever questions that they have. That way they show up to the call to actually buy something, right? And so I'll screen share a couple things. The first thing we'll do is like the prospect. If you guys have questions throughout this, let me know. Prospect buy box. So I think I talked about this yesterday with Sam, and I'll cover what all of this stuff means right now too. And we could kind of ignore this for now. So let me just get this out the way. Prospect buy box, AKA buying state. So the main thing I'll say is there's 5 different interest levels that a prospect has when they go ahead and book a call with you, right? Or if they agree to get set. Most people fall between curiosity and general interest, right? But we have no interest, we have curiosity, we have general interest, highly interested, and then convicted. And so the reason why I drew these boxes, one thing like a lot of people miss, because it's more so like marketing knowledge, is that if I were to book a call today for tomorrow for Learn Sales, I may book at general interest. Like, hey, I actually think I want to do the sales thing. Like, this looks pretty cool and so forth. But each day that goes by up until that sales call, my interest level is going to naturally lower. Right. And to be more specific, each day that goes by without me consuming some type of piece of content that's going to continue selling me into sales, my interest level will naturally lower. And so that's why you'll have people who book a call with you because they're curious, right? They're genuinely curious in what you guys do. But the next thing you know, by the time the call comes up, they get to know interest and they no show you. Right. Or Druv, in your case, you set somebody and they're like, hey, I'm curious. This sounds good. It sounds like they could help me. 2 days go by and their interest level dips off to the point where they no show. And so our goal is to, with our pre-call best practice, is to stack their interest level by sending them assets to the point where they show up to meet with the closer, or Matt, Sam, in your case, you stack these assets. That way, when they show up to a call with you, they come in highly interested and convicted and ready to buy. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so this is like a sleeper thing that people don't realize, because I think it's natural for salespeople. Sometimes we get lazy, right? We just want to show up to the calls that we have, and see what happens, get the deal closed and so forth. But that is in part the reason why, people show up treating your call as an education call. The second thing I'll say is, like, you may be saying, well, my team sends a ton of emails and they send like pre-call assets and so forth. And that's fine. Sometimes that works. The way you want to look at that is that's more of a spray and pray. Right. So what your marketing team does on your sales team is they're just spraying shit out at the prospect, hoping that they start watching something that's going to sell them and warm them up to get to you. And so if we have our own pre-call best practice as salespeople, we're going to be able to send like more tailored custom content to what they need. That's just going to naturally raise those interest levels. Right. So I did a couple bullet points that we could go over, and let me see if I missed anything. So yeah, most leads come in between curious and general interest. Number 2 is their interest levels naturally higher the second they book a call. Each day that goes by, the prospect naturally lowers their interest. General moves to curious, curious moves to no interest, then they no show. And then every time we get a pre-call asset in front of the prospect, their interest level naturally goes up, and we begin to stack boxes until they become layup deal territory. And the whole point of what we're trying to do here as SDRs and closers is to naturally raise their interest level, AKA like raise the buying state of the prospect, right? We want them to go from, I'm just curious, to like, hey, my questions are answered. Genuinely, I want to see if this thing could help me and if I should buy it. And the best type of stuff to send to prospects is custom content, right? There is like studies out there. I wish I could quote them right now, but if we could establish an actual direct connection rather than just hoping automatic text messages and emails get someone a show, it will increase your show rate by 20, 30% and so forth. A good example I could talk about with this, have you guys heard of Haston's beds?
No.
So this is I've looked into this a little bit, not because I have the money for this shit, but just looking at it. This is a bed that Drake has, right? So I don't know if you guys heard, he has some like $400,000 bed, which I think is this one, but they, obviously sell extremely expensive beds. I think their starter bed starts at like $20,000, and it's like a POS, piece of bed, and then it naturally goes up. I'm pretty sure this is their bestseller. It's like $80K for the bed. And then obviously expensive ass beds, right? Let's say what we're looking at this right now, we're all like genuinely kind of interested in it. Like, what questions come up for you guys that need to be answered before you can even make a decision on buying an $80,000 bed?
Why the hell is it $80,000?
Right. Same thing for me. Yeah. What else aside from that? For me, it's like, why the hell is it 80K? Am I gonna need am I gonna have this bed for life? Right? Like, is this gonna help me sleep better? What is the bed made out of? Like, is it made out of freaking dragon hair? Like, what's going on with this bed? In order for me to buy this thing for 80K. And so we have all of these questions that, it's putting us in the state of like, we're curious, we're genuinely interested, but we will never actually buy this thing unless we're able to get these questions answered. And so the I know like because I've looked at their sales process before. What they do is they have it's called a sleep experience, right? And so if you want to buy one of these, you actually need to like as if you're buying a car, you need to go to a location and book an appointment. And they put you through this thing called the sleep experience where they have you lay on the bed, you're with a salesperson, right? They like get everything together for you. They're having you lay on the bed, test the bed, and then they start sitting there, telling you everything about the bed, what it's made out of, why it's so expensive, the lifetime warranty that they have. I'm pretty sure for these beds, if you buy one, they will send a one of their workers to your house every single quarter, no matter where you live, to massage the bed for you and like make it brand new. I don't know what the massaging is for, right? But the reason why I say this story is like their way of raising people's interest level is one, getting them in person, but also giving customized assets or asking questions through the salesperson, right? So they're not relying on these, in their case, like sending out automated emails that's explaining all these things. Instead, they're going to have a salesperson who's there right next to you, answering these questions, giving you custom feedback, tailored advice, different assets to look at, how to feel the beds, having you lay on them, and so forth. Matt, go ahead.
How are you implicating that? I guess for us in our particular case, how could you implicate that? Are you reaching out to them before the call? Are you maybe following them on Instagram or something like that?
Yeah, maybe this was like a bad example. I don't know why it popped in my head right now, but the reason why I'm sharing this is more so to show that the salesperson is giving you custom assets in order to raise your interest level, right? Similar to what we would do as salespeople with contacting our prospects to start stacking their interest level. And so I did write down, and you guys could check out those beds if you want. They don't say the price on the website for a reason. But I wrote down like some of the best practices you want to have, right? I could just scroll down here. I mean, it's pretty simple, man. Really it's just texting your prospect the day before. And this is usually what I would send. It's something like, hey Matt, my name's Alex. I'm part of the team here at Learn Sales Group. Send. I saw we got a meeting tomorrow at 9 p.m. About getting you into sales or, helping you increase your close rate. Is there any specific questions that need answering that would prevent you from showing up today or tomorrow? Right. From there, they're going to, what we're doing is engagement bait. And so I talked about this yesterday too. Like you want to have a call to action when you text people so that they have a reason to respond. So there's different ways to do that, right? I could send a text and say, hey, did you receive the Zoom link? What you don't want to do is just say like, hey, it's Matt, just reminding you for your meeting tomorrow at 9 p.m. Have a good day. Right? We want to increase engagement with the prospect because that's going to increase show rate, but then also, allow you to send assets to the prospect that's going to raise their interest level.
Okay.
What we're trying to do, just so you know, Matt, is we want to turn this like minuscule amount of text message that we're sending to the education call and remove the education piece out of our sales call. Right? Or as a setter for like Druv for yourself, you're sending what you would do is ask at the end of the call, right? Because you just went through what their problems, what their goals are. Once you set them, just simply say, hey, by the way, I know you mentioned that you're struggling with XYZ. I want to send you a couple things just on our company and, how we could help you with that problem. I have 3 options. I have, a podcast of our owner talking about how business owners double their revenue. I have a ton of testimonials of people talking about our product and how we help them and so forth. Or number 3, I have an FAQ sheet that's going to cover probably a majority of questions that you have. What would you like? Right? Then they're like, oh yeah, that would be helpful. Send me the, send me the testimonials. I'll check them out. Right? And then you could text those over to the prospect with the whole idea they get off the call with you. Curious, right? They're curious with you. And then those assets raise them up to becoming general interest, highly interested, convicted. Then they show up to the closer's call a lot hotter. Go ahead.
So normally what we do is we have like a pre-closer call video that we're supposed to send them. Do you think, and we just say, hey, do you have 10 or 15 minutes to review a video, a very important video before you hop on the call? Do you think having it more customized would be better to say like, okay, we have some different options that we could send you, or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, the more custom you could do, the better. I always like you guys have heard me talk about pre-call videos before. It does depend on how good their pre-call video is. Meaning like Iman, for example, he had such a good pre-call video. Like it pretty much pre-handled every single objection that you could think of. It educated you, it flooded you with testimonials and so forth. Um, in my opinion, I think it's good to give options, but still send that pre-call video that you have. Right. And so what I mean by that is one of the things I wrote here is if your team does not have a bank of content, testimonials, podcasts, YouTube videos, FAQ videos on their landing page that they've given to you that answers questions and covers concerns, like just take 10 minutes today and put together a Google Doc with like what type of content could I send prospects before they meet with me. Right. And so Drev, in your case, I would still say the same thing. Hey, you told me your problem is XYZ. I want to send you some good stuff before you meet with Matt tomorrow. Number one is I have like a kind of a pre-call video that I could send over. Number two is I have testimonials. Number three is I have this, right? And then whatever they pick, just send them both the pre-call video plus the testimonials, if that's what they pick, the testimonials. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. Does anyone else have questions? No? Okay, cool. So one thing I wrote too, I mean, you guys could pretty much mimic this, and it's very self-explanatory, right? Of course, you could copy and paste what I say, right? But the whole concept is we're baiting engagement, and we're ourselves as salesperson, we're treating ourselves as like a bank of knowledge for this prospect before they get on the call with you. So number one is we bait engagement, we get the response. Number two, we showcase like the knowledge we have. Hey, I notice, you're jumping on the call for XYZ. I want to give you some more information. I have A, I have B, I have C. What would you like to check out before the call? Right. Now, another thing, a lot of people have asked me this is like, what's the best way to establish contact? I think the main thing people ask is like, hey, should I call all my leads the day before a sales call? You could try it. For me, it didn't work that well. We could even do a vote inside of here. Like who here answers calls from random numbers? I know I don't. Yeah, or how many people in here are on do not disturb right now? I'd guess like probably 70, I don't know, maybe completely wrong. I guess like 70% of us are on do not disturb. I think I am. Again, naturally starts for me at 9 a.m. every day. So in my opinion, calls are, probably the worst way to establish contact and bait engagement. And you're probably just going to waste a lot of your time versus sending a text or a video text. Video text is the best option. At the same time, I'd be lying to you guys if I said that, when I had 8 calls a day, 5 days in a row, that I was extremely consistent with sending 8 video texts, customized video texts every single day. So a text message is perfectly fine. Video text tends to be the best just because it is customized. It is a video, you're addressing them by name and so forth. But at the same time, sending a text is just as good. Now, as far as like when to do this, do it the end of the day, the day directly before your calls. Like that's the time when you're going to have the highest engagement, right? So if I have a ton of Saturday calls tomorrow, I'm not going to send out the text right now just because everyone's busy. And, I'm assuming all of you guys are selling to grown adults at the end of the day who probably are doing stuff throughout their day. If you send them a text by 6, 7, 8 p.m. before you log off, just take, 10 minutes of your day and blast text out to all your leads tomorrow. That's when you're going to have the highest engagement and be able to go back and forth with the prospect. Right. But
So sorry,
again,
you said if I have Saturday calls, do it Saturday morning, send it out Saturday morning.
Friday evening, end of day.
Evening, okay.
Yeah. So, and you could test it too, but that's just what I've realized. And it is kind of logic at the end of the day, like everyone's busy throughout the day. I'm sure even if you guys got a text right now, sure, you might respond when you have a free time, but you won't really be able to go back and forth, with the prospect or with the salesperson and have a full on conversation. Plus, like the goal is to catch them at the end of the day, get them to say like, hey, yeah, send me over this piece of content. And then they actually sit there and consume it at the same time. Right. So at the bottom, what I wrote down is like consumption and response equals sales calls, not education calls. And so that's both as a setter, as a closer. It's like once you set them, Drove, we need them to consume as much content as possible before they meet with the closer. Right. And ideally custom tailored content. If you could frame the video that you're sending as, hey, this is going to answer X question, X problem that you have, there's a higher chance of them watching it. Right. And then same thing as closers. Which is why we ask them like, hey, I noticed like you booked a call for this reason. I noticed you booked a call because you want to raise your close rate. Is there any specific questions that you need answering that would prevent you from following up? Yeah, like how does your actual process work? Oh, okay, cool. I could answer that question. Really, I have 3 options on how we could answer it. I could send you either a video of the founder, like really just breaking the whole thing down A through Z. We have a ton of testimonials of people doing well that are, making money, that have gone through the process and they're talking about it themselves. And we also have some long form podcasts that you could watch of, the founder talking about sales. Right. Does it make sense for everybody? So I don't really need to reiterate this stuff, but your pre-call best practices, it's just to raise your show rate. Number one, it is a huge show rate boost if we could establish like a custom connection with a prospect via text compared to just relying on automated reminders, automated emails. Number 2 is obviously establish rapport. It's to naturally raise your interest levels and get rid of your sales calls being education based, right? This is like the big thing that will make you feel like you're not wasting your time and help you make more money. But at the end of the day, it's to raise your close rate as well as both the setter and the closer. That covers everything. It was a little bit longer when I was going over it earlier. You guys have any questions from that? So like, I guess action steps, if I were to say any, if you guys don't have any, bank of content that you could send, like seriously, just take 10 minutes today. It won't be that difficult. You can even ask your sales manager, like, hey, I want to be able to send some content, some stuff out to prospects before they jump on a call with me. Like, what are your suggestions? What do we have? Right. Add it to Google Doc. And then, take 10, 15 minutes out of your day just to blast text out to the prospects before you actually take a call with them. Matt.
Earlier you said where the prospects are just in between the buying boxes, so the curiosity and general interest.
Yep.
How would you bump them up into being highly interested in? Is it just by feeding them content?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I wish I could just draw with my pen right here, right? The whole thing with this is, if you have someone book a call and they're convicted, right? Like, for example, a lot of you guys came into this and you're pretty much kind of already like, hey, I'm going to do this before you jumped on the call for the most part, right? So you really didn't need to get fed much in order to show up to that meeting. But a majority of your calls are going to get booked in between the curious and general interest mark, right? And if they don't receive any type of content from the day they book to the day they show up with you, their interest level is just naturally going to lower. And so that's why you have people who book a call that never show up, right? Like no one's just trying to just book a call to waste someone's time. They booked because they were curious. And by the time the call came up, they're just not interested anymore. Right. And so, the whole, our job as salespeople, the marketing people have a job too, right? Their job is to send those emails, blast them with things that are going to, with content that's going to naturally raise their interest by sending them testimonials via email, highly dense emails, highly value dense emails, and so forth. But as salespeople, we should take it under our responsibility to also send those assets, because I've booked calls before for sales calls. I'm sure you guys have too. I really doubt that you guys were all looking for value dense emails once you booked a call with Learn Sales Group so that you could educate yourself. But if I had a salesperson text Sam and say, "Hey Sam, you got a meeting with Alex tomorrow. He's super excited to chat at 3 p.m. What questions do you have that would give you a better understanding coming into the call and make sure you show up?" Right? Sam may pop a response like, "Hey, do you guys actually help me find a closing offer?" It's like, "Yeah, 100%. We definitely do. Do you mind if I just send you like one of 3 things here? List out the things." And then Sam consumes that content before the meeting. Then he shows up and his interest level's higher. So I forgot to write this too. Just so you guys have an idea, right? Typically, people would call cold leads the people between no interest and curiosity. Your hot leads, right? So people who are there, they're kind of ready to buy, but they need the full sales call, right? Buyers and powers, what Sean would call them. They're between your general and highly interested, and then once you get them to convicted, that's a layup sip. So, Adam.
So, for instance, if you are doing a follow-up text and the second text you're asking the question if they have questions, and they list out everything, but you don't give them the right information in a sense to help them on your actual sales call, obviously verifying that they watched everything and they, did that. Would you just kind of make that into your discovery, trying to continue to answer and fulfill the questions that they're having so it doesn't waste the time? Or
yeah, I mean, one thing I'd say too with that, I think you're actively looking for role. I wouldn't stress too much on that, Adam, because you literally become an expert in what you're selling as you start selling it, right? Like a good example is probably Sam, right? I mean, he went to and I know you knew about trading ahead of time, but now Sam, you're at this point to where you've done enough sales calls to where you're just like a bank of knowledge. You could answer anything on this damn trading bot, KPIs, statistics, how people are doing and so forth. So by the time you really get rolling on your role, Adam, and you ask someone over text, like, "Hey, what questions do you have?" You'll be able to give a really solid answer and send them the right.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Sam, were you going to mention something?
I was gonna say, if you don't have a lot of responsiveness, there's kind of 2 directions going. So one, if you don't have a lot of responsiveness on the interaction, how do you handle that? And 2, if you do have responsiveness, but then they don't end up watching any of those videos, and then you hop on the call and it's like, "Did you watch the videos?" And it's like, "Oh no, I got too busy. Maybe we can just go over it on the call."
Yeah.
Would you recommend kind of taking a step back and being like, "No problem, like, understand you're busy. Why don't you take the time now to go do that and we can reschedule this call?" Or would you just go through and have the call with them?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to look at that. One is responsiveness. If someone's completely just ghosting your text messages, right? And we could clearly see that they're getting delivered on iMessage or whatever it is. It's a pretty good sign they're not going to show up to the meeting, right? And so if you do have someone that, let's say you have 8 calls tomorrow or 6 calls tomorrow, you blast text out end of day, 7 of them respond, 1 of them just not responding to shit. By the next morning and you don't have to do this, right? But if you want to be as optimized as possible, ideally you want to cancel them off your calendar before you get to that hour where you're sitting there prepared, ready for the call, and they don't show up. Right.
Letting you know that you're going to cancel the call.
Ideally, usually what I do is in the morning say like, "Hey, respectfully, we have a lot of calls booked in right now. Typically, if someone doesn't respond, we just cancel them off their calendar. Let me know if you're alive." Something like that. Right.
Okay.
If they don't respond back, I'm going to cancel them off the calendar. Right. And they'll text you and say like, "Hey, what the hell? Like I was going to show up to the meeting. I just didn't see the text. Oh, my bad, man. I gave you a warning. Let's get you rebooked in."
Okay.
right? Now, as far as somebody, let's say you send in the text, they say, hey, send me this, we send in the piece of content, then they jump on and they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have time. I kind of glanced at it. It's the same thing where, we want to see where they're at with their interest level, and so my follow-up with that is always like, okay, cool, no worries, Sam. How much do you know about our company? How much do you know about what we do here? How much do you know about algorithmic trading? Have you ever traded before? Right? Did you go through our website? And it's really just to gauge their interest. If I get signs of like, oh yeah, dude, I've been looking at you guys for a while, I've been looking at your website, like I have a good idea of what's going on here, you could continue forward the call, right?
Mhm.
But that Indian guy you got yesterday is a good example. He was probably on curiosity,
Mhm.
right? He was just curious, like he knew about trading, didn't know much about you guys, and he wanted to use you as show me what you do,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to make a decision today, but educate me on this call.
Right.
And ideally, we want to send that text, send them the content. If they don't watch it, let's find out they're curious in the first 5 minutes, and then just politely tell them like, hey man, I'll say this, like if your video is short, watch it with them on the sales call, right? Just, hey, I'm going to mute myself and turn my camera off. I'm going to have you watch this video real quick. Because this 10 minutes on this video is literally going to save us an hour. Is that okay with you? Right? Play the video, screen share it, go pee, grab some water, and come back. Obviously, sometimes if you have longer content, it's smarter to just, hey, let's have you watch this video. I'm free today at noon. Or, if you don't have a lot of calls booked in and that's your only call on a 3-hour block, just be like, hey, I'm going to send you this video real quick, watch it, and let's jump back in Zoom.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried that once, and then the prospect jumped off and didn't come back.
Yeah. In that case, it's probably better to have them watch it on Zoom with you, right? When did you rebook it for?
The same day, half an hour later.
Yeah. Do you remember what he said at that time?
I asked them if they watched a pre-call video. I asked her if she watched a pre-call video. She said no. And then after that, I just said, okay, it takes about 15 minutes to watch it. If you don't mind, let's jump back up in about half an hour or so. We booked in the call, and then she jumped off and didn't come back on. I called her, no answer.
Yeah. I mean, strong chance, bro. Like she was never going to buy anyways, right? So your option one was they were going to use that call as an education call and you were just going to waste an hour. Your option two, right, is that like we try and raise their interest level so it's worth your time to actually take the call.
Okay. If you're raising interest levels, so good question, I guess, to kind of follow up on that. If there's someone that comes on the call and doesn't really know too much about, for example, trading, doesn't really know too much about trading, but it's something they always want to get into, but they don't have very much information. Is that signaling red flags for you, or you kind of continue as normal?
What we want, no, so that's fine, right? There's always going to be guys who come in to learn sales group and don't know shit about sales, right? What we're looking for is like genuine interest and intent on like working with a company, right? And intent on actually wanting to do the thing you're selling, which is more of like B2C, right? Because I think you're asking that question on like a B2C aspect. But that's what we're looking for. Like, we don't need to sell someone into Amazon MBA. To sell someone into Amazon FBA, they don't need to be fully educated on Amazon, right? They just need more so to know who you guys are, what you help with, and like, hey, yes, Amazon is something I want to do. Another thing I'll tell you too, Matt, is like, obviously I need to see that call to see what happened to the girl. You just want to make sure you frame it well too. When you get them off the call, right? And just not like rub any feathers, because it is natural for, especially if you're doing like B2B, you've got a busy business owner. It's like, hey, dude, I took an hour out of my calendar for this call. Like, let's just do it now. I'm not going to rebook. Right. And so you have to be able to frame it well as in like, hey, Matt, I hear you. This is in your best interest, man. Like, this is literally going to save us 2 hours here. So I'll stay on the call with you. Let me just screen share it. I'm going to pee real quick, check it out, and we'll march forward, and I won't waste your time here.
Okay.
Alex, sorry to barge in here. I just got a call booked for tonight. So based on this, an automation already went out. Before a call, you should get a few short emails from me with more information about Vincere. Feel free to open them and take a look. If you haven't already, I highly recommend spending some time reviewing the videos at vinceretrading.com/due diligence. They cover many common questions about Vincere and we include a lot of content you can watch before our demo. So I guess first of all, do you feel like that message, that automation, one, I feel like it doesn't it's not personalized.
Right.
So that's part of the issue. And then two, it sounds like more of a suggestion than like, hey, let's
Watch
get a
this.
conversation. What would help you? And then sending them those things personally, right?
Yep. Yeah. I would go
Yeah,
ahead.
go.
I would just say, like, I mean, if you have the power to say that, like, make it more of like, hey, you need to watch this before the call,
Yeah.
right? Rather than a suggestion, because it's only going to help them get more deals closed and help you close people on a shorter sales cycle. So you could take more calls, close more deals, and make the company more money. And so I'd tell them to reframe it as like, hey, this is necessary to watch. Number two, that is a great example of a spray and pray
Yes.
of just like, let me just throw shit at them. Hopefully they watch something that aligns with them and sells them into the thing and raise their interest level. The text message or video message that you could send, which is the best thing, right? I just know because I've done a lot of video messages. Like once you get good at them, you could rip through it in 20 minutes and send 8 customized video messages saying the same thing to everybody. But I get it, all that to say. But yeah, with that being said, that's why you want to text them. It's like, hey, what questions do you have that's going to make you, that'll prevent you from not showing up to the call? And they say like, yeah, I've heard about algorithmic trading bots. I just don't know how they work. And it's kind of hard to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I could send you this. Would that help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
But cool. Dylan, how you doing, bro? He's probably sleeping. Dylan's in New Zealand, if you guys didn't know. So it's like 6 a.m. for him right now, 5 a.m. Better man than me. All right, so after this, we should take a group trip to go look at Aston's beds. I do want to go like tour just to see like what these are about.
Where are they located?
They have locations all over. I don't know. Let's see. Store. They actually surprisingly have a lot of locations. I think these are all the states. Boston, Dallas.
Do you guys think this actually even is any relatively different than an Amazon bed? It's probably the same shit.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. I got no idea. Who knows? You would think that it's gonna change your life and help you sleep better and go into deeper sleep, but who knows? Maybe not. So let's see here. I could send you guys this doc. I'm gonna make it look nicer. I don't want just a bunch of bullet points, and I'll add it with the call. But does anyone have any other questions on like, I guess, pre-call best practices? It's pretty simple when you think about it. It's just something that most salespeople don't do and most setters don't do. And then they say, hey, I set a lead. He seemed pretty good. Why did he not show? And sure, the quality of your call matters, but at the same time, very rarely do you set somebody who's like fully convicted, right? Most times, when you set someone, they're going to be right about at general interest of like, yeah, I'm down to show up. Sounds like it'll be helpful. Saw you guys on YouTube. Right. And so if we stack these boxes of sending additional assets, there's a higher chance that they show up to Sam fully convicted, not going to treat it as education. And it's more like, hey, I actually feel like this will help.
Yeah, another thing is we mentioned that there's a strict no-show policy.
What do you mean by that?
Like on the setting call, we'll say, when we do the tie down and say, hey, is there any reason you can't make the call? The reason is because we have a strict no-show policy. So we just want to make sure that
when you commit to coming, that you'll come.
Yeah.
Uh,
If that works for you, if your show read's good with it, I'd say it. For me, I'd be like, what's the policy? Maybe it's because I'm a pain in the ass. I'm gonna be like, what's gonna happen if I don't no show? You're like, well, we'll charge you $100. I'm like, how the hell are you gonna charge me $100? You know. But yeah, all that to say, like you saying there's a no-show policy, it's not gonna do anything for their interest level to where they'll show up to the call hotter. Sure, maybe you'll be able to trick a handful of people into like showing up, but they still show up at, general interest or curious, and then it's a hard close for the closer.
Yeah, the other thing is we ask them if they will have time to review the materials that we send them before the call.
Yeah.
That's another to get them at least talking about, yeah, I do have the time to be able to review the material that you send me.
For sure. The only change you need to make with that is just make them feel like it's more customizable to them, right? Like obviously you just had a 10-minute conversation with them. You found out what their issue is, where they're trying to go, and so forth, right? Just use that MO. Like people want to talk to real human beings that feel like they give a shit at the end of the day. And as a setter, if you could project that you're not just some scripted, like, okay, step 2, I'm going to send you a video. Make sure you watch all of it. Is that cool? And instead be like, hey, Druv, by the way, I know you told me that, you're struggling with your objection handling skills right now. I want to send you some good stuff before you meet with Matt. Like here's a couple options that we have. What do you feel like would be more tailored towards you? What do you want to see? Right. Once they pick one, be like, okay, could you for sure watch that before the meeting? Because it's really going to give you a lot of clarity.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the offer as well, because the offer I'm on is a funding offer.
Yeah.
So,
more so, right? How does the funding work? How much could I get? Is it guaranteed? Is there APR?
sure.
Right? Like these are all questions that people have before they show up to that close call. What's my credit have to be? Is it guaranteed? Right? Stuff like that.
Sure.
Sam, what's up, bro?
I just sent a link in the chat as well. This is actually the first time I'm seeing this page. But so this is what the link that gets sent in that automation. And it seems good, like there's a lot of information there, but it also seems lengthy. There's 11 videos, or there's 11 steps, and then, or 10 steps, and each is kind of going through like views, review a deck.
Yeah, so this is like the perfect example of a spray and pray, right? Like, I'm assuming this talks about, this is probably to try and create urgency, this video of like, I don't know, we could watch it right now. These are what you call like breakout videos. And so they're FAQ videos, right? So they're supposed to answer questions that someone probably has. Like in Druv's case, it'd be like, how does this work? Is it guaranteed? What's my APR? Things like that. But the difference is this your first time looking at it?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I've seen most of this stuff before, but they must have just created this page recently because I've never seen it laid out all like this.
One, this will help you a lot, right? So I'm not saying it won't. Like this is good to have for sure. But like with marketing, it's you can't really tailor it to the prospect who books. Like the only thing you could do is just spray everything at them and hope that they consume something that's going to get them to heat up before they meet with Sam.
So maybe I should almost use this as my little package, right? My back pocket, and then ask them the question, hey, is there anything I can send you, questions that you have before a demo that would answer some of your questions?
Yeah.
And based on what they say back, I can cherry pick one of these videos and send it directly to them.
Yeah, for example, like I mean, I know if I booked a call with you, the first thing would be like what's the actual data? Like what's the returns?
Yeah.
Right. And you could just say, hey, take a look at step 5 on this page. Or, is that, or at first I'd say, cool, is that your only question? Once they say yes, it's like, cool, take a look at step 5. There's a lot of other good things for you to look at, but step 5 is the main, main video you need to watch.
So you'd still send them this link. You wouldn't cherry pick that video specifically and send it to them.
If you can, right? I'm assuming, I don't think you could get links for each step.
Is that not a YouTube video?
No, this is like a
Oh,
whiskey.
I see. I see. I mean, I probably could get them from Alex though.
Yeah, but in short, like all of this, it is a lot of information, but the fact that you tell the prospect, hey, step 5 is what you need to watch, they'll jump on, they'll watch step 5, and then start like checking out other stuff on the page too that may help them get across the line, right? But it's the fact that like you made the connection, you asked the question, and then you said, hey, there's a lot of shit on this page, but look at step 5. That's what's going to cover everything.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on this page. Yeah.
Here's a lot.
Yeah, more than normal.
Yeah.
Usually you would have the pre-call video and then breakout videos and then just testimonials.
Right.
But this is a little bit more of a, like you're selling a software tool, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? Anyone else? Kevin, nice to meet you, by the way, bro. I don't know. I think we have a call booked in. I hope so.
Yeah, we got one later today.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else top of mind? What do you guys want to see next week? What would be helpful? Tracking.
Yo, Alex, I have a question real quick.
Of course.
So in terms of like the pre-call process, so I think it's the same issue that I also have, like in terms of the resources that I send. I just send them like a Google sheet with like a bunch of links of like what exactly we do, testimonials and things like that. So are you basically saying that if I were to just send that link of resources, I shouldn't just send it, I should say like, hey, maybe just watch that one testimonial. It relates more to you, and then that way they'll be able to kind of go down the funnel and see more about the videos.
Yeah, for sure. So how much stuff is on the Google sheet?
I would say about 9 or 10 videos.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's essentially a spray and pray as well, right? Like we're just sending them the sheet and like hoping they click on something. And the more customized you can make it, one, it's customized to directly what the prospect needs in order to, you know, move past the line of being curious to like highly interested. And so that's why you want to ask the question first of just like, hey man, like let me know what questions do you have that would prevent you from showing up? It's like, yeah, well, I don't know how Amazon FBA works, right? And then you could send them that specific video that covers that question.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. So all that to say, I wouldn't just blast the Google sheet. I understand it's a little bit more of a manual process, but at the end of the day, all of this is math, right? If we could increase their interest level, get them to come in hotter, ready to buy, you'll just make more money from doing a little bit more of a manual process. What you just watched was one of my daily trainings that I do in my high ticket sales community. And the whole purpose of it is to really hold your hand throughout the process of landing a remote sales role within 30 days if needed. But the main purpose is to make sure on whatever sales role you're on, you have the training, you have the support, you have the call reviews to hit those $20,000, $30,000 commission month marks that everybody's after. And I am assuming since you made it through the entire video, that might be you. If so, check out the link in the description to see if you're a good fit to be working one-on-one with myself and my team. And as always, once you learn to sell, you will never starve. Thanks.